Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Little Falls Community High School Gymnasium for tonight's Central Lakes basketball game between the Little Falls Flyers and the Rocori Spartans. This production is brought to you by the Little Falls Video Production Club and Channel 6. Tonight, head coach Kevin Jordan and the Flyers play host to the Spartans from Rocori. Good evening, everybody. I'm Dave Gertz, and I'll be bringing you the play-by-play tonight in this very important matchup between Central Lakes Conference rivals Rocori and Little Falls. A win tonight could put the Little Falls Flyers in the second seed spot for the section playoffs, which will be starting in 2 weeks. Rocori already has clinched first place by virtue of their 11-1 conference record and their 18-2 overall record. Rocori is one tough team. Coach Bob Brink from Rocori has an incredible, awesome crew of athletes assembled. Every one of them goes over 6 feet, the starting lineup. We're going to look at the pledge to the flag right now. The band has gone to Alexandria. Of course, tonight the Little Falls Flyers hockey team playing at Alexandria against Sauk Rapids team, and they have a chance of going to state too. Of course, the big news here in Little Falls is the Little Falls Flyer wrestling team, who trounced their opponents in the section to become the Section 8 AAA champs. They will be going to state on Thursday, wrestling against Hastings in the first round of the state wrestling tournament. And I'm going to announce some of the people that are going to be wrestling in the individual tournament too. Little Falls placed 8 out of the 13 members of the team on the individual wrestling team. So Little Falls wrestling, Coach Mike Hendrickson, something to be proud of here in Little Falls. In fact, school's getting out for 2 days, Thursday and Friday. So I hope you've made plans. Maybe you can attend the tournament at the Target Center in St. Paul and cheer on the Flyers to victory. Of course, tonight, our focus is on the Little Falls Flyers basketball team as they play host to the Rocori Spartans. Rocori with a phenomenal offense this year, led by Jason Crone, 6'6" senior, who'll be starting tonight at forward. Little Falls, on the other hand, has had their share of problems. They're 7-12 right now, 6-6 in the conference. But I was talking to Coach Kevin Jordan before the game, saying a big win tonight could put them at the number 2 seed in the section. And Rocori, of course, has clinched number 1 by virtue of their 18-2 record and 11-1 conference record. Rocori has suffered a couple of losses in the past month. Very unplanned losses, because Rocori has been a powerhouse, rated second in state all year long and first in the conference in front of Alex and everybody in the Central Lakes. But they have proven that they are only men and they can be defeated. But tonight's game should be a great matchup. Coach Kevin Jordan said he doesn't want to get his team down too much so they don't have to fight back. The B squad game prior to this game went to the Rocori Spartans 69-41. So their B squad is going to be hot. It looks like Rocori's on a hot streak. Coach Bob Brink in his umpteenth year as coach and athletic director of the Rocori Spartans. We're going to stand now and be quiet for a second as Post 11-12 of the Arthur Bernard Johnson VFW Club in Little Falls presents the colors. Tonight, for your enjoyment, we have the Barbershop Quartet of Jamie Johnson, Dr. Oliver Weger, Doug Larson, and Mr. Jim Fox singing our national anthem. There's what you call barbershop harmony. Jamie Johnson, Dr. Oliver Weger, Doug Larson, and Jim Fox from the Little Falls chapter of the Barbershoppers, gracing us with the great music of Barbershoppers. As the colors leave the floor, we are ready to start this hot matchup between the Little Falls Flyers and the Rocori Spartans. Little Falls coming off a 49-41 win over the Wilmer Cardinals on Friday night. They evened their conference record to 6-6. Nate Miller scored 24 points, 19 of them in the second half, despite playing with 4 fouls and a bloody nose in the last 4 minutes of the game. Nick Dahl chipped in 8 points and 8 rebounds for the Flyers. Here we go with the starting lineups. Number 13 for Rocori, everybody over 6 feet tall. 6'4" junior Mason Thielen. And for Little Falls, of course, number 12, Nate Miller, the 5'9" sophomore guard, leading scorer for the Little Falls Flyers this season. On the other end for Rocori, number 25, Steve Crone, 6'1" sophomore. If you want to call him the baby of the group, he is the baby. He's the shortest one, and he's a sophomore, but he's over 6 feet tall. He'll be watched by Paul Martin tonight, number 30, 6'1" junior, Paul Martin. For the Rocori Spartans, number 55, Jason Crone, 6'6" senior. He'll be watched tonight by number 20, Nick Dahl, a 6'4" junior. And for Rocori, 6'8" senior, Mike Van Neville. Van Neville, one of the big men of the Rocori team. Look at him stand out there. Kendall Fayan, a 6'3" sophomore, will be watching him. I tell you, the matchup goes right now to Rocori by virtue of their incredible size right now. Always great to see Rocori play. Big team, a lot of emotion. Finally for Rocori, number 51, Jeff Dene, a 6'6" senior. He'll be watched by number 44, John Check, a 6'2" junior. The Flyers are coached by Kevin Jordan in his second year, and of course the Rocori Spartans coached by perennial coach Bob Brink. The officials for tonight's game out of the Wadena Officials Association, Darwin Bachman and Steve Burns. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready for some fast-paced basketball action. I've got my pen here. It's probably going to fly off of its holder because I know this is going to be an up-and-down game. Last time when the Flyers played Bemidji, last Saturday, this game went into the 80s. Big game. Rocori shoots big, is big underneath, a great presence on the offensive and defensive board. Little Falls is going to just have to play their game. Let's see how they match up tonight as far as defenses go. We've got Van Neville jumping against Dahl, and Van Neville easily controls the tap. And Rocori has the ball. Number 13, Mason Thielen with the ball, watched by Miller. Little Falls in a man-to-man right now. So Little Falls strategy is trying to shut down somebody underneath. On the right side to Crone. Crone with the ball. Over to Dene. And Van Neville with 2 points. That's Rocori's first basket. Mike Van Neville. Little Falls brings the ball down. Martin to check. Martin on the left side. Rocori in a man-to-man defense too. Actually, they switched to a zone. It looks like a 3-2 zone right now. And they've got a soft zone, letting Little Falls do something on the perimeter. Not much going on underneath. I tell you what, it's going to be tough to get Little Falls open underneath with a 6'6", 6'8", and 6'6" trio underneath the basket for Rocori. 7:10 to go early in the first quarter. 2-0 Rocori on that basket. John Check kicks it out on the left side to Dahl. Looks like the go-to guy is going to have to be Nate Miller tonight. Dahl from 3, no good. And Rocori easily takes that ball away. Thielen brings the ball down the court. Right underneath for Steve Crone, and Crone has 2. Rocori up 4-0. Wide open underneath, Steve Crone cutting. Looks like Little Falls is trying to sag underneath to get the 3 big men out of contention, and they're leaving the little guys go. If you want to call them little, both of them over 6 feet tall, as Miller has the ball on the right side. Rocori, a stingy zone defense right now. Switching from a 3-2 to a 1-2-1. A 1-2-2. Double teaming on Kendall Faya. Nate Miller can't get anything open. Nothing open underneath. Big Mike Van Neville underneath covers a lot of ground at 6'8". Faya kicks the ball out on the right side to Martin. Looking, Martin passes to Miller. Nice pass in to Kendall Fea. That ball is blocked by number 55, Jason Crone. And the first shot can't even be called the shot for the Flyers as they're down 4-0 with 6:03 to go in the first quarter. Miller inbounding the ball. Fea from about 15 feet, no good, rocks off. And there's a foul underneath. Looks like it's going to go against Rocori's number 25. And that will be number 25, Steve Crone, his first foul. Team's first, not a shooting foul, so Little Falls will have the ball. Little Falls kicking it around, trying to get some offense going. Nate Miller on their left side, and Rocori switches back into that zone defense. Tough zone. Rocori's not letting anything past the three-point line at all. Little Falls only penetrated twice. Check, decides not to take a shot. Ball's tipped away by Jeff Dene, and Rocori's got it to Van Neville, and Van Neville makes easy work of that one. Van Neville with 4 points tonight, 6-0. Rocori up, 5:30 to go in the first. Mike Van Neville just walked in, untouched. And Little Falls is going to have to do some opening up on the outside. Kendall Fea from three, no good. Rebounded by Nick Dahl. So they get on the offensive boards. Miller from the free throw line, he puts it in. Nate Miller with his first basket. Little Falls' first basket. And we're on the board. 6-2, 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. As Mason Thielen brings the ball down, Nate Miller steals it. Thielen didn't expect that, and Miller scores. Nate Miller with a basket on a great steal. Little Falls, 6-4, down by 2. 4:50 to go in the first. Nate Miller on his hustle. Young Nate stolen almost by Nick Dahl. And number 51, Jeff Dene, turns around, puts it in. Wow, Rocori shooting 4 for 4 right now. Little Falls 2 for 3. Rocori 100%. Or as we say in the business, 1,000% from the field. 4:39 to go, 8-4. Little Falls down by 4. Little Falls in a zone. They're not going to try manning up on Rocori. They're just too tall. So Little Falls going to have to play a real tough zone. Nate Miller gets away with one. Mason Thielen from 3. Thielen just puts it up. Nothing but net on that. So Thielen has the first three-pointer, and it is now 11-4, Rocori. Both teams in a zone defense. Rocori is swinging from a 1-2-2, swinging to a 3-2. I see a 1-3-1 once in a while. Miller from 3, oh, way short. Nate Miller's shot goes way short. Picked up by 55, Jason Crone. Crone puts it in. Jason Crone, Rocori's 5 for 5, 13-4. Rocori is shooting 1,000% everywhere. Kevin Jordan's got to call a timeout. It looks like it's going to be a full timeout too, called by Kevin Jordan. He's got to settle his team down. Wow, Mason Thielen with that three-pointer. And Jason Crone, Rocori shooting 5 for 5 from everywhere. 1 for 1 from the three-point line. Little Falls shooting 0 for 3 from 3, 2 for 3 from 2, and the score is 13-4. We want to thank everybody who's been joining us for Little Falls Flyer broadcasts on Channel 6 tonight. This is also broadcast tonight on Channel 63 in Uppsala and Channel 3 in Piers. We do appreciate you watching us if you can't make it to the game. And let us know if you like it, because we're going to be doing this next year. This is our last broadcast of the season. Tomorrow, however, we'd like you to join Channel 6 at 10:15 a.m. as the Flyers welcome, hopefully, a great pep fest for the wrestling team going to state. So live at 10:15 on Channel 6 right here from the Flyer Gymnasium. The send-off broadcast will be held here. Brought to you by the Great Video Production Club from Little Falls Community High School under the direction of Mr. Greg Beck. Little Falls inbounds the ball after that minute timeout by Coach Kevin Jordan, and Rocori starts a little three-quarter court pressure, and Little Falls breaks it, but that zone is going to be almost impenetrable. It's very interesting to see Rocori on that left side when they've got Fea and Dahl, two of the greater shooters for Little Falls, collapsing on the zone. Nick Dahl has nothing to shoot for. A big steal by number 55, Crone. He's going to jam it. There he goes. Jason Crone jams the ball 15-4. Rocori's up. What a nice jam by Crone. Kendall Fea with the ball for Little Falls. Gets it in. Jason Poser in for Little Falls now. Dahl from about 12, and Dahl puts it in. Nick Dahl's first 2 points of the game. Hey, it's still close. 15-6. And Rocori's called for a walk. I believe that was number 25, Steve Crone. The Crone brothers. Steve and Jason. Little Falls will inbound the ball on this side of the timeline. Nate Miller with the ball, back to Fea. And Rocori, it's kind of a, I don't know if it's lazy defense. It's really effective, but there's not a lot of movement going on. Little Falls is pretty much shut down everywhere. Little action underneath with Jason Poser and Jeff Dene. And Poser loses the battle to the taller Dene as Nick Dahl on the right side has the ball. Back to Check. Check way out of his place underneath. John Check looking. Rocori's backing off. They're not even putting on the 5-second count. Stolen by Steve Crone, tipped away, and down to Mason Thielen. Thielen back, long three-pointer from number 55. That's the first shot that they've missed. Jason Crone, and a walk called on Mason Thielen. And the first substitution for Rocori, number 45 coming in, Joe Peters. So that's the first shot that Rocori has missed in almost 6 minutes of basketball. As Joe Peters comes in and looks like he's replacing number 51, Jeff Dene. No, number 53, Mike Van Ebel. Little Falls Dahl on the right side. Rocori, of course, hoping to get momentum in the state. Nice pass in to John Check. Check misses the first one. He's hammered underneath. So John Check takes two. Gets a 2 free throw shot out of it. The foul's on number 25, Steve Crone. That's his second. But it puts John Check, number 44, at the line. So John Check gets to try his mettle shooting free throws. 15-6, Little Falls down by 9. Check's first one is up. Oh, no good. So John Check still has yet to score. In the game for Little Falls, Ben Smith, number 52. Out goes Steve Crone for Rocori, and number 5, Ryan Mottry comes in. A lot of these guys, football players for Rocori. Big football season for the Rocori Spartans too. Second one missed by Check also. And big number 55, Jason Crone rebounds. Crone way out of his area. He's up at the guard spot. Gives it back to Mason Thielen. Thielen now, watched by Kendall Fay. Little Falls still in a 1-1-3 and on a 2-3 zone. Trying to put some pressure on, and they're really backing off. They know that underneath, Rocori is going to be unstoppable. Almost stolen by number 40, Jason Poser. Wild pass by Rocori. Number 5, Mathry couldn't handle it, and Bob Brink gets off the bench and says, what's going on? Settle it down. 1:35 to go in the first. 15-6, Little Falls down by 9. Still a close game. Rocori has just missed one shot tonight. That's the big story of the evening. Ben Smith turns. The ball is blocked. Holy cow. Ben Smith is no little man. He goes 6'4", and he had it hammered as Thielen puts it in, his second three-pointer. Thielen is 2 for 2 from three-point range. 1:12 to go in the first. 18-6, Little Falls down. Tripled up right now by Rocori. Poser on the left side. And Rocori still has that incredible zone defense. I tell you, those guys' arms have got to be reaching about 9 feet when they have them up in the air. Big steal in the middle, knocked away by number 45, Joe Peters. Nice steal by Peters. And Crone has it to Mottry, to Peters. Oh, Crone decides not to go, almost travels. Thielen, oh, first miss on him by a three-point shot. Little Falls comes up with a rebound. Jason Poser, Nate Miller now has it, bringing it down the court. 33 seconds to go, 18-6 is the score. Little Falls down by 12. 26 seconds to go. Little Falls going for one shot. Kendall Fea from 3. It's good! Kendall Fea with the first three-point basket for the Flyers. Puts the Flyers down by 9, 18-9. Double up score here. 14 seconds to go. Thielen, watched by Miller, gets the ball away to Crone. Jason Crone, watched by Kendall Fea. To Mottry. Mottry drives, fouled by Poser, by John Check, excuse me. I think that's going to be John Check they call a foul on. Yep, that's number 44. That's Little Falls' first foul. They made it through the first quarter with only one foul, 18-9. Rocori will have the ball on the Little Falls sideline. And inbounding the ball for Rocori, 51, Jeff Dene. Thielen shoots over Nate Miller. And that shot goes wild, and we have the end of the first quarter with the score 18-9. Wow. In that quarter, Nate Miller for the Flyers scoring 4, Nick Dahl with 2, Kendall Fea with a three-pointer. For Rocori, the big story, they've only missed 2 shots tonight. Mason Thielen has 6 points off of 2 3-pointers. Steve Crone has 2. Jeff Dene, he's got 2 points. Mike Van Neville, 1 huge jam. He's got 4 points. And Jason Crone with 4. So even scoring across the board for Rocori. They're up by 9 points, 18-9. As we start the second quarter, there's the Rocori cheerleaders putting on a show. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're glad you're here tonight, joining us on Channel 6 in Little Falls, Channel 63 in Upsala, Channel 3 in Piers. We're glad you could join us. Our camera people tonight, I want to mention right now, Matt Krause, Jacob Schweninger, John Damboy, Addie McChesney up in the booth with Mr. Greg Beck, and Gary Abraham, of course, our link on our network to get to Channel 6. So we want to thank all those people for working very hard this season. And I can tell you right now, the next season we will be back with more action. Right now, Little Falls takes the ball out of bounds. No jump balls, no held balls in that first quarter. Little Falls, Martin to check up to Nate Miller. Nate Miller, it's the land of the Giants out there right now for Rocori. Mothry is the one young guy, 5'10". He's a 5'10" senior. He's the only one under 6 feet right now for Rocori. Nate Miller to Martin. Poser decides to drive, but can't get through. Nice pass to Check. Check picks it up at the free throw line. He's going to go up with it. Passes off to Poser, and Poser traveled. Great call by the official, Steve Burns. Poser walked. 7:25 to go in the second quarter. 18-9. Little Falls down by 9. Rocori hot shooting in that first quarter, only missing 2 shots. 3 shots, excuse me. Mothry from 3, no good. And there's a foul underneath, a push. Looks like it's going to be on number 45 for Rocori. That's Joe Peters. That's going to be his first foul, Rocori's 3rd. Steve Crone has the other 2 for Rocori. 7:08 to go. It's kind of a slow pace right now. Neither team is really doing anything in transition. Rocori had 1 jam by big Mike Van Neville, but that's about it as far as going corner to corner, end to end on the court. And Little Falls is now going to have to look at Van Neville again as he comes back in. Mothry is back in still, and number 45 is still in off the bench, Joe Peters. Miller crosses the timeline. No press put on by Rocori. They have pretty much control of most of the boards right now, too. Miller tries to put it up. Van Neville almost takes him out. Kendall Fay on the far right side. Tries a move, doesn't go anywhere. Nate Miller. Little Falls working the side, trying to get an opening. Poser has a chance, and Kendall Fay is going to take it up. Nate Miller way behind the 3-point line. Faya's got one from 3. Oh, just short. Kendall Fay was just a little bit out of his range. That was about a 22-footer. He's pretty decent from 19.6, but not at 22 feet. Not at NBA range right now. And Rocori has the ball. Peters on the right side. Peters turns. He brings Poser with him, and Poser fouls him. It's going to be a 2-shot foul. Nice move by Joe Peters. Jason Poser's first foul. That's Little Falls' 2nd team foul. John Check has the only other foul. And Joe Peters is going to go to the line, shooting 2. And Peters has not scored tonight. He's come off the bench. Lots of good substitutions. The bench is deep for Rocori, too. Oh, man, no arch on that. Peters just drills it straight in. Incredible trajectory on that one. Mathematically impossible. And he does it. Peters' second one, Joe Peters, 6'6" junior. Holy cow, Peters puts it in again. So 2 points for Peters, 20-9. Rocori with their biggest lead of the night. 11 points. Nate Miller crosses the timeline, picks up his dribble. That's uncharacteristic of Nate with nobody on him. Rocori's in a 3-2 zone, shifting to a 1-2-2. And Little Falls having all kinds of trouble getting underneath. Nate Miller on the far right side, watched by Thielen. Out to Dahl. Poser has an opening, but boy, you're not going to shoot over a 6'8" Mike Van Neville. I can guarantee you that. Dahl to Miller. Miller makes a move from the free throw line, gives it to Faya. Nothing going on the 3-pointers. Rocori knows Little Falls can shoot the 3. Kendall Faya has the ball stripped away, and Crone picks it up to Mothry. Mothry with a beautiful move, doesn't get it in. Missed the basket, so Little Falls comes up with a break. Miller from 12, it's in. Nate Miller has 6 points tonight. Beautiful fading shot by Nate Miller. 20-11, Little Falls creeping back. 9-point lead for Rocori. 5:10 to go in the second quarter. Mothry drives from the free throw line, no good. Little Falls picks up another rebound. Boy, Jason Poser underneath there. Nate Miller's gonna try again. Transition might be the way to get baskets, and Paul Martin lets the ball go out of bounds. Coming back in, John Check for the Flyers, replacing Paul Martin. Oh man, transition could be the way to go. I haven't seen the speed of Rocori just yet. They are big, but I don't know how fast they are. In this game, it's a pretty slow-paced game. Little Falls, we know, has speed with Nate Miller and Nick Dahl. Maybe that's the way to get some points here tonight for the Flyers. 20-11, 4:51 to go in the second quarter. Thielen to Crone on the left side, passes to Mothry on the right. Mothry drives base, puts it up, and Poser, no basket. He gets Poser up in the air again. So Jason Poser has 2. That's not going to be a shooting foul. That's the 3rd foul for Rocori, for Little Falls, excuse me. 3 and 3 apiece for both teams. And Rocori inbounds the ball. Jason Poser's coming out. This is unusual for Poser because he has never had this many fouls this early in the game. Not early off the bench for Poser. He's taken out in favor of John Check. Rocori, Mothry with the ball to Crone. Crone in the middle to Van Neville. Van Neville drives. Boom! Mike Van Neville, almost unstoppable, as he just puts that ball over Nick Dahl. Not much of a matchup there as far as height goes. Speed-wise, Dahl has the edge. Oh, turn around, Ben Smith. Smith almost had a chance for a free throw right there. Decided against it. Nate Miller over to Fea. Little Falls still working on that zone of Rocori's. Rocori's in a 3-2 zone. They switch to a 1-2-2. And not much gets by the big Rocori team. Ben Smith working underneath. He's 6'4", and I tell you what, he looks like a miniature person in the face of Mike Van Neville underneath. Oh, Smith misses the pass from Fea, and Rocori picks it up. That's about the 5th turnover. Little Falls can ill afford these turnovers. Down by 11 points, doubled up. Rocori having a little trouble with the ball right now. Not showing a lot of stuff in transition at all. Oh, and Kendall Fea gets called for a reach. Fea, his first foul, team's 4th. No shooting foul just yet. In for Rocori, number 25, Steve Crone back in the game, and off the bench, Jeff Dene back in. Replacing Mothry, and who else is out? Looks like Joe Peters is out. So, back to the starting lineup. Jeff Dene inbounds the ball for Rocori to Crone. Jason Crone, 6'6" senior. In the middle to Van Neville. Van Neville, what a nice shot off the glass. Van Neville has quite a touch. Soft hands for a big man. Mike Van Neville has 8 points tonight, leading all scorers, 24-11. Little Falls down by 13. Rocori opening up the game a little bit here. Nate Miller drives, no good. Ball is tipped away by Little Falls, but picked up by Crone. Crone crosses the timeline to Thielen. Thielen back to Crone, looking for something underneath. Little Falls cannot let people underneath. Ben Smith, wide open. Jeff Dene gets open under Ben Smith's guard, and it looks like a foul is going to be on Ben Smith. That is Ben Smith's first. This will be a shooting foul, sending Jeff Dene to the line. Dene, second 2 free throws for Rocori. They're perfect at the line so far, 2 for 2 on the free throws by Peters earlier. Dene, a little more arc on his shot and doesn't put it in. Back in for Little Falls, Paul Martin replacing Nick Dahl. Little Falls substituting to keep people fresh. This has not been end-to-end action like I'd anticipated. It has just been a real slow, methodical game so far. Rocori just picking on their weaknesses of Little Falls as Dene puts the second one in. And Little Falls trying to pick away at Rocori's weakness, which I really can't see right now unless it's speed. I don't know right off the bat. Martin gives to Miller. Miller drives in on the right side. Fea trying to set something up. Rocori with that tenacious defense. Smith turns around, has it stripped away. Picked up by Kendall Fea. Wide open on the right side. Miller for 3, short, and there's a foul coming on Ben Smith. Ben Smith all over the back of Crone, I believe, and that's 52. That's his second foul. Little Falls has 6 fouls now. Next one will put Rocori in the bonus, and I don't know if you want to get Rocori in the bonus early, because I'm sure they're good free throw shooters. I don't have any stats in front of me about that. Crone, back to Steve Crone, the brother. Little Falls, Nate Miller trying to keep the ball, but he doesn't, touches it out of bounds. Dunay will inbound the ball. Jason Crone drives base. Big Crone, no foul, and no score. Good job by the Flyers to pick up that rebound. John Check on the rebound. Kendall Fea looking for Martin. John Check is wide open. Decides not to take a check, not in a three-point shooter either, so that's probably wise of him. Paul Martin trying to get it back set up to Nate Miller. Nate Miller's way underneath. Miller, three. Oh, closes so quickly. Miller with a nice move. Spins, doesn't get a shot off. Nate Miller, he's got great ball handling skills. Ben Smith decides to take it up. Blocked by Dunay and picked up by Mason Thielen. So Thielen and Rocori stymie the drive by Little Falls, 25-11, 1:37 to go in the second quarter. Quick moving game, it's only 8 o'clock and we're almost done with the first half. Thielen falls underneath, big foul. Way away from the play. I don't know who that was supposed to be fouling on. It's a bonus though. Paul Martin gets called for the push way away from the play. It's gonna put Rocori in the bonus. Nate Miller comes back in. Ben Smith, Nick Dahl comes back in. Ben Smith comes out. And Joe Olhorn, number 34, in for the Flyers. He'll be replacing Martin. Paul Martin a little bit tired looking out there right now. And Coach Kevin Jordan wants to give him a rest. And coming off the bench for Rocori in just a few seconds, looks like 43, Neil Thomas. But we'll have the first free throw shot by Steve Crone, and it's good. And replacing number 55, Jason Crone, is going to be number 43, Neil Thomas. Jason Crone leaving the game with 4 points, but he's been a force on the court. And Steve Crone puts the second one in. He's got 4 points tonight, 1:28 to go, 27-11. Rocori's biggest lead up by 16. Little Falls cannot afford to stay down here. Joe Olhorn, free throw line, immediately hounded by Rocori's tough defense. Miller looking for something to pass to. There's nothing there but white shirts all over the place. Dahl taking the ball, driving right, back to Miller, looking for something to do, and no one there. Oh, forced pass, and Little Falls has it taken away, but Olhorn picks it back up, and John Check finally comes up with it. Kendall Fea looking for three. Nate Miller, he's trying to go over the big man. Mike Van Neville, he's not going to do it. He's given Van Neville almost a foot in height. Nate Miller's got a great shot, but not from that range with a guy that big. 42 seconds to go, 27-11. Kendall Fea looking for one shot. 16-point lead for Rocori. Almost taken away by Rocori's Crone, Steve Crone. Over in the corner to Nate Miller. Miller, nothing to shoot at. The basket doesn't exist as far as Little Falls is going right now. They're going to be forced to just hold this ball till the end of the first half. 27-11 the score, and we're not going to get a 5-second count. Rocori's just content to let it ride. Very, very slow-paced game right now. And Rocori's pretty much calling the shots here. Nick Dahl, Miller, Kendall Fea. Miller with a long three-pointer, nowhere. 0.8 of a second to go. That basket counts. And that was John Check with the basket. So at the end of the first half, John Check puts one in. Little Falls only shot 3 times in that quarter. Holy cow, 27-13 is our score. We'll be back with some halftime statistics after these public service announcements. Thanks for joining us here on Channel 6 in Little Falls, Channel 63 in Uppsala, Channel 3 in Piers. I'm Dave Gertz. I'll be back with you in a few minutes.
I can't believe it. I got held up in a work zone. They had one lane closed and the speed limit at 35 miles an hour. Oh, it burns me up.
Yeah, but those people are working with cars flying by just a few feet away.
Come on, it doesn't look that dangerous to me.
Remember, how would you like it if someone drove through your workplace at 65 miles per hour? Work zone crews are just doing their job. Drive smart, drive safe. We're in the work zone together.
Most of us feel pretty safe when we're at work. But every year, highway and utility workers are injured or killed on the job. That's because drivers aren't careful and don't slow down when they approach work zones. Think about it. How would you like it if someone drove through your workplace at 65 miles an hour? Work zone crews are just doing their job.
Drive smart, drive safe. We're in the work zone together. It's winter.
It's 20 degrees. The wind is from the north at 30 miles per hour. The roads are icy. It's snowing. There's a snowplow in front of you, and it weighs 50,000 pounds. Your vehicle, 3,000 pounds. This is what you see. This is what the snowplow driver sees. If you're involved in a collision with a snowplow, you can be seriously injured or killed. Stay back. Stay alive. This message brought to you by the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Every year, more than 26,000 tons of trash are thrown out along Minnesota's roads and highways. Who would do something like that? Don't waste our state.
We're back here at Little Falls. You're watching the 6th grade team from the Little Falls Flyers, the feeder program, playing basketball. The score at the halftime is 27-13. Rocori's up. Here's your scoring summary for the first 2 quarters. Right now for Little Falls, Nate Miller leads all scorers with 6 points. Nick Dahl has 2, Kendall Faya 3, and John Check 2. As far as fouls go, Kendall Faya has 1 foul, Paul Martin 1, Jason Poser 1, John Check 1, and Ben Smith has 2 fouls. For Rocori, the big story has been Mike Van Neville. He's got 8 points right now. Jason Crone has 4, Joe Peters 2, Steve Crone 4, and Mason Thielen 6, giving you 27 points, 27-13. As far as shots go, Rocori blistered the boards in the first quarter. They shot everything but 2 and put everything in but those 2 shots. For the game, I'll have the total statistics in just a minute as you watch the Little Falls Flyer feeder program from the 6th grade under the incredible coaching of Mr. Jeff Wooker and Mr. John Haas, taking each other on down in the court. I'm gonna let you watch the action for a few seconds while I figure out some more statistics and bring you some more facts about basketball from Little Falls here tonight, from the Little Falls Flyer Gymnasium. So I'm just gonna go off for a second, but I'll be back. Welcome back again, everybody. There you're enjoying the action from the 6th grade boys team from the Little Falls Middle School, coached by John Haas and Jeff Wicker. That's the feeder program for Coach Kevin Jordan as he enters his 2nd year right now. A couple more statistics for you. Boy, Little Falls on the dismal end of some shooting. 1 for 7 from three-point range for 14%, 5 for 10 for 50% from the field, and 0 for 2 for 0% from the free throw line. On the other hand, Rocori is blistering us. 2 for 6 from three-point range, 10 for 12 from the field, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. There's your difference in scoring right there. Rocori is on. Have to be pleased, Coach Bob Brink does, with his Rocori Spartans, looking as they go into the region tournaments. Little Falls and Rocori in the same region. And Little Falls, hopefully, if they can win tonight, be seeded number 2, but it doesn't look too good for the Flyers right now, but a lot can happen in basketball. Rocori, of course, number 1 seed by virtue of their 18-2 overall record and 11-1 conference record. Little Falls at 7-12 overall and 6-6, an improvement over last year. Coach Kevin Jordan had 1 win last year, and he just has really come on and made Little Falls respectable again in basketball. And there's the end of this game between the Little Falls Flyers 6th and 7th graders, coached by Mr. Jeff Wicker and Mr. John Haas. We're going to be back with the second half here in just a few seconds. Just a reminder to all of you, this is our last broadcast of the season from Channel 6. And we want to invite you tomorrow at 10:15 as the Little Falls Flyers will bid farewell to their Little Falls Flyer wrestling team. All the fans here in Little Falls High School are bidding farewell to the Flyer wrestlers as they go to the state tournament for the first time since 1992. And Little Falls has 8 members of the individual team going on. And I've got some names here I'd like to congratulate. Joe Roach, Mike Golombecki, Ryan Sivolosky, Brian Hagan, Logan McLennan, Adam Notch, and Ryan Holtz, as well as the whole Little Falls Flyer team by virtue of their win over Bemidji in the Section 8 AAA tournament. They are going to state, and Little Falls is getting out of school on Wednesday and Thursday to go see if we can support them. And hopefully you're going down there, or else at least going to hear some action on TV. I believe that Channel 9 is going to cover some of the tournament. I wish we could go down there and do a broadcast. I'd like my partner Luke Brisk to come along and do it, but of course he's probably going to be wrestling that day, and we're not going to be down there anyway. Kind of tough to compete with the big boys from the cities. But anyway, we are happy for our Little Falls Flyers, as I'm sure you fans are. Great tribute to Coach Mike Hendrickson, Little Falls Flyer wrestling coach, and his assistants, Bill Muschel and Bill Muschel and Mike Olson and Jeremy Statham. Great effort by the Little Falls Flyer wrestlers this year to take first in the region and hopefully championship in the state. They play Hastings, or they wrestle Hastings Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. Hastings, I was reading in the paper today, comes in at 20-5, and Little Falls in at 20-2. Should be a good match. Lots of wrestlers, lots of action. The feeder program for wrestling, of course, comes from way down below. And Little Falls has a fine tradition of athletics, and Little Falls wrestling team is hopefully going to prove that at the state tournament. Here you see the boys warming up right now. 1 minute to go before we start the third quarter. No held balls at all, so Rocori will get the ball on the inbounds. And Little Falls is having a hard time penetrating Rocori's incredibly stingy zone right now. Rocori's running a 3-2 zone, breaks off into 1-2-2, and Little Falls' players, by sheer virtue of their lack of height, can't get anything done underneath, and their outside shooting has been less than desirable, as they're shooting 1 for 7 from three-point range and only 5 for 10 from the field. Lots of tip shots by Rocori, blocked shots by Rocori, and Little Falls, not a lot of things for the highlight film tonight. So we're hopefully second half bound here to get Little Falls going. Third quarter has been big at times for Little Falls. There you see Coach Kevin Jordan talking to his men. The assistant coaches for Little Falls, Scott Holm, Randy Tabbitt, Chad Scheck, and Bobby Lukanen, who have done a great job all season. The seating meetings happen tomorrow for Little Falls' section, tomorrow morning, and Coach Kevin Jordan hoping for the number 2 seed, but it looks like they might be going number 3 after this performance tonight. We'll have to see, though. A lot of things can happen in basketball. Rocori takes the ball inbounds. Looks like they've got their starting lineup back in. The two Crone boys, Thielen, Dunay, and Van Nevel. And Little Falls goes to work right away on Van Nevel. They're triple teaming him underneath. Dunay with the ball on the left side, on the right side, excuse me. Back to Thielen, to Jason Crone. Crone back to Thielen, to Steve Crone on the right side. Little Falls in a zone. It's looking pretty effective right now. Jason Crone, Paul Martin on him, heads him up. Van Nevel in the middle. Steve Crone drives right in, and Steve Crone has an early basket for Rocori. He's got 6 points tonight, 29-13, low scoring game. Blocked by Ben Smith's ball's blocked by Van Nevel, but he's going to get, no it's not, it's going to be Steve Crone. Steve Crone has 3 fouls. One of the shortest people on the team, and he's got all the fouls. Ben Smith is going to the line to shoot 2. There you see Ben Smith, the big 6'4" junior. Much improved over last year. A lot more ball skills, coordination, and Ben Smith, big man. He's going to do well for the Flyers in his next year, his senior year. Smith's second free throw goes awry, and he's 0 for 2. Rocori brings it down. Thielen, you can't leave him open. Boom. Nothing but net. Mason Thielen has 9 points, all of them on 3-pointers. Mason Thielen gets an opening, and he makes Little Falls pay. Ben Smith to Nick Dahl. Nick Dahl from 12, no good. Ball tipped out of bounds by Little Falls is Kendall Fayette, and White has the ball, Rocori. 32-13, the biggest lead for Rocori right now. Van Nevel, boom! Mike Van Nevel jams it, and Little Falls is down by 21. Tough break for the Flyers having to face Mike Van Nevel tonight. Mike Van Nevel, incredible basketball player for Rocori. Nice and smooth, good hands, and he can jam. He doesn't have to jump too high to do the jam. 6:28 to go, 34-13 here early in the third quarter. Little Falls' Nate Miller trying to get something going, and Rocori has just got arms everywhere. Not much doing underneath, so Nate Miller's gonna have to try something from outside. Passes to Paul Martin. Martin's shot goes off the rim. Rebounded by Crone. Crone with the ball, dishes it off to Dunay, looks for the 3 and decides to pull up. Back to Jason Crone in the middle to Mike Van Nevel. And Thielen decides to pull it back. Closely guarded right now by Nate Miller. Van Nevel from the free throw line, beautiful shot. That's Thielen, excuse me. Mason Thielen. And Coach Kevin Jordan's gonna call a timeout here. It's gonna be looks like a full timeout for Coach Kevin Jordan. He's got to settle his players down. It's 36-13 right now. And Little Falls has lost a lot of momentum coming into this third quarter. Mason Thielen, he's got all the points right now in the third quarter. He is just hot from the three-point line. He's 3 for 4 from the three-point line. And he's got a total of 9, 10, 11 points tonight. So he's taken over the lead from Mike Van Nevel with 10 points. 38-13, 5:52 to go. Once again, just a reminder, thank you for joining us this season on Channel 6. We do appreciate the comments that we've heard from everybody out there. And I want to say a special thanks to Mr. Greg Beck, the director of the Video Production Club here at the high school. And our directors, Sean Nelson, who's not here tonight, he's playing in the band, and Doug Nelson, who's not here tonight. But Andy McChesney's doing a great job upstairs. And our camera people, Matt Krause, Jacob Schweniger, and John DeBowie. As Kendall Fayette takes the ball inbounds. Fayette tries to drive, and I tell you, there's not much going on with Rocori. They're just kind of standing there. Nate Miller from 3 puts it in. Nate Miller, second three-pointer of the night. That's good for the highlight film. 36-16, a 20-point lead for Rocori. And Rocori, Thielen with the ball. Closely guarded by Nate Miller, gives it off to Crone. Crone and matching up with Fayette. Little Falls is switching into a zone right now, and Thielen picks it apart. That's Thielen's fourth three-pointer tonight, 39-16. He is just eating us alive here. Great shot by Mason Thielen. Hoser turns around from the free throw. Yes, free throw, yeah. Can't even say it right. the free-throw line, and Poser puts it in. 39-18, a 21-point lead for Rocori. Little Falls chipping away at it. Jason Crone takes on Fea. Crone from 10 puts it in. Jason Crone, that's only his first basket of the second half. And Van Neville looks like he commits a foul on Kendall Fea. I don't think that's going to be a shooting foul. That's on 53. A block. Mike Van Neville's first foul, the team's second. Joe Peters coming back in to replace Van Neville, and Coach Bob Brink is resting Van Neville every chance he gets. Big Mike Van Neville, great basketball player, great dunk, and great hands. Steve Crone, turnaround, nice move by Crone. He's got 8 points tonight. Steve Crone, Little Falls is being dumped upon by Rocori. They've hit every shot again in this third quarter. Long three-pointer by Fea. Puts it in, Kendall Fea. He's got another three-pointer. That's his second three-pointer of the night. And Bob Brink is going to call a timeout. Looks like he's going to want a 20-second timeout for Bob Brink. 43-21, Little Falls still down by 22, but coming back with some nice shooting by Kendall Fea. And Coach Kevin Jordan knows he's got a big job ahead of him trying to stop this Rocori team. Short of everybody getting the flu right now, I don't know what can stop Rocori. 4:17 to go, 43-21. Little Falls down by 22. Rocori shooting a perfect 5 for 5 in this third quarter. They started the game out this way, and they are hot to trot. Mason Thielen with the ball. Boy, they're backing off Thielen. They're going to have to put somebody in his face at the three-point circle because he is going to take advantage of that every time. He's only missed one from three-point land. Jason Crone all the way over to Steve Crone from three. No good. Picked up by Jason Crone. A beautiful stuff in by Crone. The Crone brothers, that's only the first missed shot by Rocori. Fouls on number 25. That's Steve Crone. He's got 4 fouls. He's in trouble. He might have to be pulled. What will Coach Brink do now? He's got a deep bench. I don't think he's worried about it. Jason Poser turns around. Oh, Poser kicks it out. He had a little opening in there. He tried to take it in, didn't do much with it. 45-21, 3:42 to go. John Check with the ball to Nate Miller. A tenacious defense by Rocori. Long shot by Fea. It's good. Another three-pointer by Kendall Fea. He's got 9 off threes tonight. And Little Falls shooting a little bit better right now. 45-24. Coach Kevin Jordan happy with the hustle right now. And Little Falls almost keeps the ball in play. Coming out for Rocori, number 45, Joe Peterson, number 25, Steve Crone. In for Rocori, 33, Rick Bertzel. And let me pick up the other number. It looks like that's about the only one that came in. Rocori replaces 2 for 1. Well, I'll be darned. They're that good of a team. Bertzel with the ball, watched by Poser. Rick Bertzel is a 6'1" junior. Good off the bench. Remember him from football. Almost stolen away by John Check. Van Neville puts it in from 12. Van Neville has 12 points tonight. Big Mike Van Neville, 6'8" senior. John Check with the ball way in the corner. Little Falls trying to find some opening. They found the long ball seam, but they still are down by 23 points, and it's going to be a tough match if they're going to rely on the long ball. Fea drives base, puts it up, blocked by Van Neville, partially anyway. And big Jason Crone has that ball knocked away by Little Falls' Jason Poser, or Nick Dahl. Kendall Fea with another three. That one does not go. And there's a foul underneath. Looks like it's going to be on John Check. Yes, it is. Not a good foul underneath when Little Falls had a little bit of momentum shooting. 2:29 to go, 47-24. Back in the game for Little Falls, Ben Smith replacing John Check. Caleb Paulson coming in for Little Falls, and number 43, Neil Thomas back in for Rocori. So Caleb Paulson replacing Kendall Fea, and Ben Smith replacing John Check. Little new faces here again. Caleb's first action of the night. Caleb Paulson is a 6'2" senior. Reliable off the bench. Got some meat on him. See what he can do. Thielen puts it up from 12. Mason Thielen has put on a show here. Unbelievable. Thielen now has 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 points. And he is hot to trot. As Rocori doubles up Little Falls, it's 49-24. Doubles up and then some. Nick Dahl from 3 puts it up, no good. And Little Falls does not get the rebound. Mason Thielen looking for somebody down, and Rocori is just kind of hanging out, playing their game. To Crone. Nice block by Jason Poser on number 43, Neil Thomas. Poser gets the ball out. Nate Miller puts on a little dribbling show in front of Jason Crone. Ben Smith from the free throw line puts it up. No good. Rolls off the rim, and Rocori comes down. Let's see what transition's like for Rocori. Bertzel looks like he's getting called. Oh, a foul called on Nate Miller. It looked like he traveled, but foul must have occurred before that. Foul's on Nate Miller, number 12. That's Little Falls' second foul, not a shooting foul. Bertzel goes to the floor on that foul, and Rocori takes the ball in. Crone in the corner from about 18, no good. Little Falls rebound. Nate Miller finally picks it up. Miller crosses the timeline, watched by Rick Bertzel. Oh, nice pass in the middle to Jason Poser. Couldn't get it, and Nate Miller gets the ball back on the breakaway pass to Rick Bertzel by Mike Van Neville. Miller falls to the floor, picks it up. Poser's wide open. Jason Poser finally puts it in. And here comes a transition shot. Mason Thielen way underneath. That's his first miss of the second half. Nate Miller comes up with the ball. 49-26, 45 seconds to go. Very low scoring game for Little Falls right now. 26, they're down by 23 right now. And got a long way to climb back up against this incredible Rocori team. Good team scoring from Rocori. Big three-point shot by Nate Miller. Goes nowhere. There's a foul on Rocori. Looks like it's a hold. On number 40, that's not on Rocori, that's on number 40 for Little Falls, Jason Poser. Poser's third foul. Jason Poser in little foul trouble right now. 49-26, 28 seconds to go in the third quarter. Mason Thielen with the ball, watched by Kendall Fay, crosses the timeline. Into Jason Crone. Crone to Thomas. Thomas back over to Rick Bertzel. Back to Van Neville. Rocori's just taking time off the clock. 7 seconds to go. Looks like they're going to try for one. Good guy to go to. Mason Thielen has it blocked partially by Kendall Faya. And Little Falls has the ball stolen away. Jason Crone from about 40 feet tries a three-pointer, and that's the end of the third quarter with Rocori up 49-26. Scoring in that quarter, let me get that for you real quickly. For Little Falls, Nate Miller had 3 for a 3-period total right now of 9. Nick Dahl had 2. He's got 2 for the game. Kendall Fay had 9, 3 3-pointers. Jason Poser had 4, and John Check had 2 for Rocori. Mason Thielen, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 points. Have to do a little math in my head here, you'll forgive me. Steve Crone has 8. Steve Crone's in foul trouble too, he's got 4 fouls. Joe Peters has 2. Mike Van Neville has 12. And Jason Crone has 8. And the only foul trouble really for anybody is Steve Crone with 4 fouls. Joe Peters has 1 for Rocori, and Mike Van Neville has 1. There's only 6 fouls by Rocori. And for Little Falls, Nate Miller has 1. Kendall Faya has 1 foul. Paul Martin has 1 foul. Jason Poser has 3 fouls. And John Jick has 2. And Ben Smith has 2 also. And Little Falls will inbound the ball. Kendall Faya back to Dahl. We're starting the fourth quarter here. Kind of a slow-paced game. Joe Ohorn in the game right now. Has first basket by Joe. 7:40 to go. Little Falls scores another basket, 49-28. Rocori. Oh, and Van Neville is hammered by Joe Ohorn. Mike Van Neville is almost taken to the floor by Joe. It's probably the only way you can take care of him. It sends Mike Van Neville to the free throw line. Van Neville's going to be shooting 2. His first try at free throws tonight. Big arch, Van Neville, nothing but net. He's got 13 points tonight. Mike Van Neville, the big 6'8" senior, is going to shoot another one. Second one up. Goes out, and Joe Olhorn, who committed the foul, comes up with a basket to Nate Miller. Little Falls can't get into transition game because Rocori is pretty speedy getting back after the free throw. Joe Olhorn out to Nick Dahl. Nick Dahl's been held to only 2 points tonight. Olhorn in the zone, in the lane. Pass to Kendall Faya to Nick Dahl. Rocori collapses that corner so well. Well-coached team is Rocori right now. Bob Brink has been noticeably silent on the bench. Bob Brink has been known to have major outbursts in the past, but he knows his team is pretty darn good this year. Kicked out by Mason Thielen. And in the game for Rocori, number 4 coming off the bench, Kyle Peterson. Peterson, a 6-foot senior. He's going to replace Mason Thielen, who leaves the game with 16 points. Thielen is hot. He's going to get a break, a well-deserved break. 50-28. Little Falls down by 22. And Rocori's just playing that zone. They're not doing much, just hanging back. Every one of them is coached well to stay back. Nate Miller from about 8 feet doesn't go. And Rocori, Jason Crone brings it down the court. Crone's a good ball handler, good shooter. Crone passes in to Thomas. Thomas over to Crone again. Crone misses a shot, and so does Bertzel. And Little Falls comes up with it. Nate Miller, nifty doodle move and goes nowhere. Picked up by Rocori. Peterson with the ball, back out to Crone, back to Peterson. From 16, no good. Van Neville takes it, no good. Bertzel finally comes up with it after that shot by Thomas. Neil Thomas, no good. 50-28. Rocori a little bit sloppy on shooting right now. Thomas with the ball, watched by Jason Poser. Thomas in to Peterson, to Van Neville. Oh, Van Neville, it rolls off the hoop. No good. And there's a foul on Little Falls, is number 24. That's Kendall Faya. And it puts Van Neville at the line shooting 2. Oh, that ball just rolled and rolled and rolled off the rim. And Mike Van Neville has a chance to put 2 in now for Rocori as he tucks his jersey in. Mike Van Neville, a 6'8" senior. 1 for 2 last time up here. First one's good. 14 points for Van Neville. In the game for Little Falls, Ben Smith replacing Joe Olhorn did a nice job in his time here on the court. And in the game for Little Falls, Caleb Paulson replacing Jason Poser. Van Neville's going to shoot the second one. Mike Van Neville eyes up the basket, puts it in. 2 for 3 for Van Neville, 15 points tonight. And Little Falls takes it over on the transition, seeing if they can get something going. 52-28, Rocori's biggest lead. 24 points. Could be a double day for Rocori here. Caleb Paulson has the ball swatted away by Rick Bertzel. And then Ben Smith fouls number 43, Neil Thomas. Ben Smith has 3. Back in the game for Rocori, Steve Crone. And he replaces his brother Mike. And back in Joe Peters, 45. Nice game by the Crone boys. Steve Crone with the ball, watched by Nick Dahl. Crosses the timeline. Over to Bertzel. Bertzel, one of the shorter people on the team, under 6 feet. To Thomas, to Peterson. Peterson drives from about 11, good. Kyle Peterson, his first basket. Little Falls coming fast in transition. Caleb Paulson with the ball from Nate Miller. Over to Kendall Faya. They're looking for something, but Rocori just collapses so well. They are everywhere on the court where the ball is. Great team effort by Rocori right now on defense. Miller drives, oh, fouled. Looks like that's going to be on Kyle Peterson, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see. Yep, it's on 4. Kyle Peterson, his first. That's only Rocori's 4th foul of the half. And Little Falls will inbound the ball. Kendall Faya to Nick Dahl, to Nate Miller. Nate Miller from 16, no good. That shot is way off. And Rocori rebounds the ball. Steve Crone with the ball. He's got 4 fouls. And Coach Bob Brink decides to let him play. Thomas, Steve Crone from 3, puts it in. Steve Crone has 11 tonight. That's his first 3-pointer as Nate Miller brings the ball down. Nate Miller's the floor leader. Kendall Fea puts up a 3. No good, and there's a foul, and lots of shoe tying going on here by Rocori. That foul is on number 45. That's Joe Peters. And there's a timeout called by Rocori's Bob Brink, a full timeout. That foul is on number 45, Joe Peters. That's his second. 4th team foul for Rocori. And Coach Kevin Jordan doesn't have anything to be sad about right now. Little Falls has given Rocori all they can, but Rocori is just too strong a team. And seating meetings happen tomorrow, and we'll see what happens with them. There you see Coach Kevin Jordan, the second full year here. Turn this team around, boy. Little Falls is a conference contender. Next year they should be really tough. And I'm looking at my scorecard here. Rocori is going to be losing Crone, Van Neville, and Danae. And Kyle Peterson is a senior. Ryan Mothry, who's on right now, is a senior. So they're going to be losing about 6 people. So it could be a different year. But the sophomore team looked really good. They beat Little Falls 69-41. And looks like Little Falls will inbound the ball. 4:17 to go in the game, it looks like. 57-28. 29-point lead for Rocori. Just about doubling everything up here. Paulson, turn around, puts it up, it's good. Caleb Paulson's first basket. So Paulson puts Little Falls down only 27 right now. 4:06 to go. Rocori just running the court. Thomas, watched by Paulson. Over to Peters. Peters back to Bertzel. Rocori only has, they have no starters in right now. Peters almost gets a feed for a dunk. And Kendall Fea comes up with the ball from Ben Smith. Fea has the ball slapped away. That's going to be the 6th foul on Rocori. I don't know who that's on. It looks like it's Joe Peters. They're calling it on Peters. 45 has 3 fouls. Boy, Rocori only had a total right now, 4, 7, 8, 9 fouls for the whole game. Wow, incredible. Nate Miller inbounds the ball to Nick Dahl. Dahl looking underneath, nothing there. Even the second stringers from Rocori just have this defense down. Nice move by Kendall Fea. He's fouled by Joe Peters. That'll send Kendall Fea to the line for 2. 3:33 to go in this contest, Central Lakes Conference contest here at the Little Falls Community Gym. Hope you're enjoying tonight's coverage. I want to thank again our Little Falls Video Production Club, Mr. Greg Beck, Andy McChesney directing tonight, Mr. Jerry Abraham from Little Falls Channel 6 and MSET putting this on TV for us. Kendall Fea misses the first shot. Our cameramen, Matt Krause, Jacob Schweninger, John Dombowy, and thank you very much. What else can I say? Except, where's my pop? Nobody brought me pop tonight. I'm getting dry. 57-30 as Kendall Fea misses his first of 2. Second one up on the way. Second one's good. Kendall Fea has 10 points tonight. He hits 1 for 2, and Ryan Mothry brings the ball down for Rocori. Rocori's got all their starters out right now. Bob Brink giving them a rest. Nice pass to Kyle Peterson. He's got 4 points tonight off the bench. Kyle Peterson on a pass from Mothry, breaking to the basket. Caleb Paulson wide open. Paulson, poser, can't put it in. Blocked by Rocori, and they finally come up with it, and Rocori travels. Oh, Caleb Paulson overshot the basket. Jason Poser had the ball blocked, and Joe Peters is having a good time underneath, slapping that ball away. Kendall Fea inbounding the ball. It goes away. Finally picked up by Nate Miller, Nick Dahl, and Nate Miller from 3, way off the mark. Put up by Kendall Fea. Kendall Fea has 12 points tonight. Good job by Kendall. Nate Miller has 9 tonight, so Miller and Fea have most of the scoring. Kyle Peterson, a nice pass from Bertzel underneath. He's got 6 points tonight off the bench. Miller, there's 2 more for Miller. He's got 11. There's a timeout called. Full timeout called by Little Falls coach Kevin Jordan. And I want to welcome you again, hopefully tomorrow, for the send-off for the Little Falls Flyer wrestling team, the Region 8 AAA champs. They're going to be going to state. Tomorrow you can see live coverage at 10:15 a.m. of the Flyer send-off right here from the Little Falls Flyer Gymnasium. I know we'll have that on at Lindbergh tomorrow, watching our team go. Hopefully you can tune in. This is our last broadcast of the season. We hope you've enjoyed these shows brought to you by the Little Falls Video Production Club in cooperation with Channel 6 in Little Falls, Channel 63 in Uppsala, and Channel 3 in Piers. We do love bringing you sports, and I think it's a good way to acknowledge some of the great activities that our kids in central Minnesota do. We want to emphasize the good, push the good, not the bad. You're seeing a lot of great athletes here right now. For a lot of these kids, this is a way out and a way to have fun and excel. And a lot of these kids are gifted academic kids as well as athletes. Rocori inbounding the ball. Mothry with the ball. Back to Thomas. Thomas and Mothry. Little Falls putting on a little full court pressure, but Mothry breaks that one. Number 31 in the game. 3-pointer for him. That's Nathan Larison. He's got 3 points tonight off the bench. Rocori 64, Little Falls 35, and there's a foul. It looks like it's on number 5 or number 4. We'll see what they say. Number 5, Ryan Mothry, that's his first foul. Bonus for Little Falls, and 2 more fouls. Little Falls will be going to the double bonus. And Nate Miller's the guy you want to have at the line here, shooting the bonus. Miller's first one is up and good. He's got 12 points tonight, tied with Kendall Fea. In the game for Little Falls, Ben Smith replacing Caleb Paulson, 64-36. Rocori is just manhandling Little Falls, but they're not beating them up. It's just a great game by Rocori. Second shot by Miller is good. He's got 13 points tonight. 2:19 to go in this contest, 64-37. Seeding meetings tomorrow. We'll see where Little Falls ends up. Coach Kevin Jordan hoping for number 2. Looks like he's going to get number 3. Ben Smith slaps the ball away from Thomas. Kendall Fea takes it all the way. He's got the basket and he's got the foul. Kendall Fea fouled by number 33, Rick Bertzel. That's his first. 9th team foul. So Little Falls with the next foul will go in the double bonus. Coming in for Rocori, number 3, Tony Busing. And Rocori's got their bench all on the floor. Big hand by the Rocori fans sitting down below me. Great bunch of fans. I tell you, they're packing the gym here right now following their team. Kendall Fea puts that one in. He's got 15 points tonight. 2:06 to go, 64-40. Little Falls down by 24. Whoa, Tony Busing puts it in all the way, coast to coast, off the bench. And Nick Dahl, no basket. He's called for an offensive foul. Nice foul taken by Rocori. That basket does not count. And Nick Dahl's first foul. Wow. Good play by Rocori to step up and take that foul. Peterson has the ball tipped out of bounds by Bertzel. And in the game for Rocori, number 11, Scott Stomas, or Stomes. We'll try both of them. So Rocori freely going to the bench, 66-40, 26-point lead for Rocori. And it's good old-fashioned, well-played blowout. Rocori doing everything right. Little Falls just can't find the opening. Kendall Fea puts it in on a nice give and go. Kendall Fea, 17 points tonight for Kendall, 68-42 as Mothry brings the ball down the court. Nick Dahl still in for the Flyers. Mothry to Paul Schreiner, who's in the game. I didn't see him come in. Busing over to Schreiner. Schreiner from 3, no good. The ball goes out of bounds and Little Falls takes it. 1:06 to go. And Bob Brink calling off everything. There's no press going on right now. Kendall Fea with the ball. Watched by Kyle Peterson. Fea got 17 points tonight. Ben Smith back to Nate Miller, trying to get something going from about 12, no good. Saved, Nick Dahl, no good from 3. Picked up by Rocori, number 5, Mothry, and he's fouled by number 12, Nate Miller. Ryan Mothry, it looks like he's going to go shoot 2, too. Now he's going to shoot a bonus. Caleb Paulson coming back in, number 14. In for Mike Thompson in, and number 22, Tim Schneider for Little Falls, and number 42 for Little Falls, Adam Surma. So Little Falls, Kevin Jordan getting some playing experience in for some of the underclassmen. Number 32 waiting on the sideline, Tom Rocco, replacing Jason Posner, and we've got a whole new team in here. 68-42. Ryan Mathry shooting a bonus. First one's up and in. Mathry gets a second one. That's his first points of the game. 44 seconds. If you stay with me for just a few seconds after the game, I'll have all the statistics for you as far as scoring goes. Mathry has 2. Thompson drives to Paulson. Paulson puts it up. Fouled. He's going to shoot 2, Caleb Paulson. Mike Thompson, nice feed to Caleb. Fouls on 41. Paul Schreiner, that's his first. It's going to be a 2-shot foul regardless because it's a double bonus. 36.9 seconds to go. Hope you've enjoyed this game. I know the Flyers have wanted to face Rocori here all season, and it comes down to this. There's one more game for the Flyers Friday night, February 26th versus Apollo. Apollo is hot in the CLC also. First one for Paulson goes in. Second one goes in also, so Caleb Paulson has 4 points tonight. 35 seconds to go. This is our last broadcast of the season too, just so you remember that. Mothry to Peterson, watched by Paulson, back to Mothry. Tipped away by Tom Rocco. Nice job by Rocco. Mothry has some trouble. Picked up by Busing. Busing puts it in. Tony Busing, 4 points, 13 seconds to go. Rocco underneath to Thompson, I believe. Number 42, that's Adam Surma. Adam Surma puts 2 in. And that's the end of the game with the final score, Rocori 70 and Little Falls 46. Wow. And the coaches shake hands, and Rocori is going to go on to become 19-2. And Little Falls drops to 7-13, 6-7 in the conference. Rocori goes to 12-1 in the conference. Final scoring for Rocori, Tony Busing had 4, Kyle Peterson had 6, Ryan Mothry 2, Mason Thielen 16, Steve Crone 11, Nathan Larson 3, Joe Peters 2, Mike Van Neville 15, and Jason Crone 8. For Little Falls, Nate Miller had 13 points, Nick Dahl had 2, Kendall Fay has 17, Joe Olhorn 2, Jason Polzer 4, Adam Surma 2, John Check 2, Caleb Paulson 4. I want to thank again our camera people, Matt Krause, Jacob Schwinninger, John DeBovi, and our director, Andy McChesney, Mr. Greg Beck up in the booth, the producer of the Video Production Club, Mr. Jerry Abraham from MSET, and I'm Dave Gertz wishing you a happy season. I'll see you next year here, right up in the booth, with more action from Little Falls Flyers. Thank you. Have a safe trip home, everybody, and we'll be back next season.